Hi everyone, my name is Marcella Dominguez, and if you're tuning in today, you want to know about part 3 of this private label journey, either on Amazon or outside of Amazon. I help small and medium-sized companies start their business the right way and protect their brands with a trademark. So if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you hit the red button down below and give me a thumbs up so you can be notified of when I release more videos just like this one. Now in part 3 of this 3-part series, I want to make sure that you have a very comprehensive view of what this private label journey is going to look like. So if you haven't watched part 1 and part 2, make sure that you hit subscribe and that you go back and you watch them when you have time. Why? Because it's not enough to just see a microscopic view of what the journey is like. It wouldn't be in context, right? So make sure you watch part 1 and part 2 because those tips and tricks are super relevant to the entire journey, and also it will help make part 3 make a little bit more sense. So in part 3 of this series, we are going to talk about your brand. Now, you already know that a brand is how people feel when they come across your marketing materials, how they feel when they've entered your website, and how they feel even after they've left your website. So it's actually a feeling. It's not necessarily what your logo looks like. It's not necessarily what your fonts and colors are. All of those things put together are part of your brand, but it is not the entire brand, taking just one of those pieces and calling it your brand. So that is something that is very important to the private label journey, because if you are able to create, let's say, a website or a Facebook page or a WordPress site, a Shopify site, a Kajabi site, anything where you're able to put your logo, your customized fonts, specific copy, and then maybe also link them to your Amazon site, your Shopify site, or you're able to sell products directly from WordPress, then creating a brand is going to be very important to how you funnel those customers to your products. You might have an easier time funneling customers from your branded website onto your products if you have created a brand and a feeling around your logo, your copy, and your text, and all of these things that we talked about in part 1 and part 2. You see, if you just visit, let's say, an Amazon page or a page where there's just simply nothing but products, sure, you can have distinguishing features between products that maybe makes yours more appealing than someone else's. But if you're able to couple that with your brand and also leave your customers feeling a certain type of way, particularly in a positive way, then I think that just elevates your brand one more notch. So besides having the distinguishing factor that we talked about in part 2, if you're able to take that up a notch by making your customers feel a certain type of way while they're in your website or after they've left your website, then that is just going to be one more distinguishing factor. And so it's a lot easier to make someone feel at home and like they're comfortable in your space, and then ask them to purchase something or show them what you have for sale, as opposed to just walking up to a stranger on the street where they're not necessarily in your home and they can't see or feel the particular environment of your personal space. And so those are the reasons that having a branded website or a place where people can visit you in your environment is very important to the private label journey. So it's not a requirement that you have a website outside of the Amazon or Shopify platform, but you'll see that an increasing number of sellers do have a separate website or a Facebook page or a place where your personal space lives. In other words, the personal space of your products or services. So your products and services should be housed in a place that makes your visitors feel like they're at home. And the more that you can make them feel those positive feelings, you have increased the likelihood of your conversions. So if you want the cheat sheet that goes along with this 3-part series, make sure that you send an email to this email below, because we are also inviting you to our community where you will be able to interact with like-minded entrepreneurs. We also want to make sure that this journey of private labeling goes as smoothly as possible, so we also invite you to click on the link below where you can find out more about the course associated with the private label journey from people who have been there and done that.